fellow Brickmasters and Lego Maniacs and all that fun things. I am very excited. I guess I had some pent up energy from us not recording last week, but I am so excited to get my brick on. My name is Mark. I'm one of the hosts here.
And I am Josh. I am the other host, the Jamie to his Amy, the Amy to his Jamie. I don't know. We could go through and figure out which one of us is more like the other. But either way, we are partners here breaking down every episode brick by brick of Lego Masters.
Breaking it down. And we're excited because we missed last week, which last week, in my personal opinion, might have been one of the all-time great Lego Masters episodes. Yes. I saw the episode before you did, and you're like, really? And they're like, oh, wait, yeah.
You did not overhype it, Mark. I thought you might have, and I was like, man, okay, is it really going to live up to the hype? And it did. That was such an incredible episode. I mean, obviously we're going to talk about it, but like it checked so many boxes of what makes a great reality TV like episode, like beyond the Lego, which was incredible and really cool. Like, we'll talk about it, but it was just so good.
And also, this week's episode, no slouch either. I think it was an episode I was a little concerned of, and then I loved it. But let's get going, right?
Let's do it.
God, I'm so excited to finally talk about this episode. We start off with episode 6, Is It Brick? Which is such a fun title for an episode. It's always great seeing how they name these. I love the names of these episodes. They're always fun. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little concerned with how hammy the little sketch was at the top of the episode was. With like black and white and everything like that. You see like Will Arnett's detective agency, like what's happening here. And it was such a cool start for what a fun episode. Also, we have viewers. We are live. If anyone wants to ask questions, we'll answer them. But yeah, I thought that it was such a fun little start of like setting up with a nice, realistic set, which is so important for this episode. Like the set was realistic for Will's detective agency.
Yes. Again, Will was very much in his element, as Murderville. Will Arnett, has been a detective already on Netflix. I love that show. People have been very mixed on it. I think Will Arnett is like one of the great improvers of our, generation here.
Yeah.
And so, the set was very fun though. And I thought that I was very surprised at some of the choices that the contestants made. We'll get to in a second. Yeah. But the beyond even the Lego, they just do such a freaking good job. And this was not even like, we talk about like the sets they build for each episode that are usually like out of Lego and they're very elaborate and stuff. This was just like a totally different thing. This is just like as if it was
and like lots of props.
Yeah, it just felt like an old-timey film noir set, like a soundstage. And so they did a great job there. And it wasn't even a Lego designed, set that they were working with to start the episode.
I think we have to talk about the first thing that we noticed in this episode, though, that there's not all the teams are there. I literally was having a full-blown anxiety attack when I realized, because one of them was missing at the end of last week's episode. Poppy was sick. And now Ben and Poppy are gone. And they were great competitors, really getting into the rhythm of things towards the end of the time. I have found out since the episode ended that Poppy had COVID, which is why they're not in the rest of the season. He didn't.
Yeah.
They never mentioned it again, which is very terrifying. I was like, oh no, Poppy's dead. Like that's
I was waiting for like a title card at the end or something that did a little explanation or like a little video or something they could have done, like with just Poppy and Ben being like, hey, everybody, we're sad we can't be there with you all. So I don't know what that was about, but I feel like Lego Masters is very thoughtful with everything. And that felt a little bit like ominous that we just didn't get any update beyond that. So Ben posted on Reddit, I know, like an update saying, in the Lego Masters subreddit, saying like Poppy's all right, explaining that he got was sick and was not allowed.
Poppy didn't die in Georgia, unless
So no, Poppy is still with us, thankfully. I honestly wouldn't mind if they brought them back, for another season, because they didn't really get a good run. They seem very fun, but probably I'm guessing that unfortunately that might be all we see of Poppy and Ben on Lego Masters.
Yeah. But I mean, we might see like Ben like in like a holiday bricktacular if they do another one of those. We don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so we get to the actual challenge. And the idea is they have to take something from Will's detective office and replace it with a 1-for-1 recreation in Lego. Not like bright purple, but like more realistic 1-for-1. And there's a lot of very fun things in that office that people could choose.
Yeah. Was there anything that stuck out to you, Mark, that they didn't choose that that you thought someone might have?
I thought the fan was gonna get chosen, honestly.
That was exactly that's what I thought too. It's exactly what I was gonna say. Maybe it's too hard to make those like little metal parts on like the wiring like look
Yeah.
too real or something.
The dartboard would have been a smart one, but might have been too easy of a build.
Yeah, not like three-dimensional enough with the dartboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I from the preview, I thought someone was taking the desk because they showed
that's
people
what it looked
moving
like.
the desk
Yeah.
for the carpet. Which now we know why the desk was moved. But I was like, so I was bracing for the desk to be a discussion. But one of the funnest things, when people are choosing here is the whole approach that Christopher had to, manipulating another team into Sam and Nina into taking the rug. What did you think about this, Mark? Because this is emergent Lego Masters gameplay that transcended just building.
Never been strategy. And like I was watching my fiance, mom is saying watch, and she was like, "I don't like this. I like Lego Masters to be like just straight up, like an honest, like do the best you can." And like, but like, I'm intrigued by it. Honestly, I think it was like interesting move to see like the way that they did it is like they were Christopher and Robert like, I don't know, can we do it? Do you think we do it? I don't know. And Nina and Sam were here and like we got those are our competition. We gotta beat them and take this carpet.
I liked it. Well, in general, I'm a fan of strategy. Love competition reality shows. I think that people like sometimes get a lot of unnecessary flack for being strategic on shows where there isn't a lot of strategy. And I kind of think like there's a real prize pool out there. If they're not cheating, like it's all fair. But I get that the spirit of Lego Masters has been, kind of like a Great British Baking Show. There's been just this like, and we even see it at the end of this episode, camaraderie and like, a sense of like we're in it for the love of the game. But there's real money. So if you can find an edge somewhere, I'm kind of usually a fan. But what I do like especially about this is that they're punching up. Nina and Sam had the golden brick. So Christopher and Robert were not like, they were not trying to like manipulate the weakest people to like, do something impossible and then go home. They were trying to get the golden brick back into circulation. So I feel like that was especially advantageous for them, not just to like, they're not just like picking out again, like picking on the weak ones and trying to just like weed out like them. They were trying to like get the golden brick back out there so that they could potentially get it in the future. So I just thought that it was actually pretty fun and I was a fan of it, but I could understand why somebody might feel like it's not why they tune into Lego Masters.
Like, I think it's so interesting because like most of the builds are very small but complicated. Like the clarinet is one that is incredible. Telescope. The TV could have been incredible. Like the camera was incredible. Like all those were like incredible, small detailed sets how they ended up being. And also like the chair and the rug ended up being incredible, but those were not small builds.
Yeah.
And like it's interesting because I feel like this is a very big episode for Christopher and Robert because both the characters of them of like being the villains in the show really excels, but also you see it bite them in the ass to a certain extent too.
Yeah, I just think like this is the fun type of villain you want to see on a show. Like they're playing the game hard in ways that people haven't really explored yet, but they're doing it in like in a good spirit. And we've talked about this. Christopher, I would say definitely has grown on me, and I would say right now, especially this episode and the next episode, I'm just gonna say at top of our podcast here, my favorite contestant since Boone. I am loving. It's not that I'm actually rooting for him the most.
Yeah.
I just love what he brings to the show. Like he is like the best reality TV character they have had outside of Boone, in my opinion, because Will Arnett loves him. Will Arnett loves to riff off with Christopher with the improving and like the joking, and Christopher just gives so much. Mm-hmm. He prepares all those like monologues before the builds. He like again is really good on the fly with joking about and stuff, and then he's actually good at building as well. Like he like, again, he checks a lot of boxes, and I really hope one day we can talk with this guy, because he just seems like this larger than life personality that they somehow lucked into getting on the show.
Yeah, he is one of like the 3 people I've seen online from the season, because I've seen Sam, him, and Emily, I think, online to a certain extent. I would love to talk to some of those people. Like, yeah, no, he's definitely on that list of like people I'd like to talk to after the season. Also, I should say, like, there is a chance that Nick might join us at a future episode. We talked about trying to get him on for this week. He was interested. Letting folks know at home. Well, you'll understand later why Nick was asked if he want to be a part of this episode in a bit. But you're right, though. Like, Christopher is one of the more complicated, interesting, fun characters we've had in a while on the show. Is he my favorite? I don't think so. But I like him a lot. I really enjoy watching him and seeing where his brain goes.
Yeah, I'm more of like a strategy game bot nerd probably than you are. I know you're like, you're a theater guy. You like a lot more of the storytelling characters. I mean, we both as a character, I think, but like, I think I'm just like interested to see what he's bringing to the show that's kind of new and fresh. So
that's for what, me, like, really that's what I like. Like, it's very new. Like, it's not what the show's used to, and I love that. Yeah, like, I'm not like I love this cast. I genuinely love this cast, especially those top 6 teams. I'm really like in love with them. But also, like, can we just talk about the sheer size of what they got Nina and Sam to do? That's 99 base plates. Like, to do a 1-for-1. It's a huge undertaking in 10 hours. The judges figured out they would have to do, I think it was 156,000 pieces, which is absurd. They'd have to do like 4 pieces a second. Like, you can't do that. And like, good on Christopher and Robert for being villainous, for working on getting the golden brick to be used.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked about this. Nina and Sam, they are ambitious, if they are one thing. And so I love that they went for something ambitious. This felt like an obviously bad idea, but yeah, they got pressured, they got manipulated into picking this, in the spur of the moment before they could really think through the implications. But I just think in general, like, I love the teams that go for it, that are going big and not playing it safe. And so I think probably the golden brick in their pocket helped them to just kind of make that split decision. And so, yeah, I mean, they're really fun. I mean, honestly, Christopher and Robert, while not going for the rug, that chair was also very ambitious. And I do think that, like, the rug and the chair, they kind of got a little screwed by like not having all the information, because we had one of these point twists, mid episode twists. Like, they didn't know that there was like such a high priority on tricking people. They knew that was part of it, but at this point, they didn't realize there was going to be somebody who was going to come in and judge them, and see if they could actually trick them or not. So. So I think I like that. If you're not going to go for like this like perfect recreation, you got to go big and ambitious. And so, I mean, I get the logic from Nina and Sam, and I like that Christopher and Robert went there. But if they knew if they had all the information, I think they would have both probably chosen something a little bit smaller that they could just execute super well.
Yeah. Should we talk about the other teams, like what they chose?
Sure. Yeah. Let's go
before we get to like the adjudication, I guess. That's the right word, honestly. Paul and Melita, they choose the telescope, and I love that I love how like such a big part of their character arc is them bickering immediately, and then like making like really cool builds. Like, they're like, no, and there's like perfect baby recreation or whatever.
Yeah, no, that was great. I thought as soon as Aubrey and Ryan, as soon as they selected the TV, I was like, this is a bad idea, because my first thought, like Amy and Jamie, was like, how are you going to do the screen? And that didn't come up for them. They put it off to the end. But as soon as they picked the TV, I was like, that feels like a bad idea. I don't get how you're going to do this.
Yeah. And then we got Lewis and Alex with the record player. Those guys love their motion. It's also like a Lego friendly build if they can get the record on the player to spin and look real.
Yeah. No, that was a cool thing in the room that my eye was drawn to immediately as far as like an item to pick. And then another item was Emily and Kelly picked the clarinet. And my first thought, Similar to Allison and Melanie, who picked the camera, was just like, okay, this is small. However, they gotta really nail it. And so I felt like both those teams picking the small items, like they were able to pull it off, obviously, but like I was worried immediately that it was going to be too small.
Yeah, I mean, like the clarinet is one of those like harder things. Like you have to really think about like how you're using your pieces for that kind of situation. Which is then we get a new vocabulary term, NPU, nice part usage, and it's like
Yeah.
it's interesting because like a clarinet as a Lego build in theory is not the hardest thing, but the piece like the actual uh, I don't know what the term is.
Yeah.
The joints, I guess.
Switches, yeah,
Yeah.
the buttons, yeah.
That's where it gets tricky because Lego doesn't make pieces like that.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it. I have thoughts when we get to the judging part, but yeah. So that's basically what everybody chose. And then they get to the building portion. Anything stick out to you there while people were building?
I just thought this was like fascinating watching watching me and Sam immediately regret having to build this giant fucking carpet. I know we try to keep it like very peachy, but this is a big carpet. And like
Yeah.
and like seeing also Christopher and Robert be like, did we bite off more than we chew? Because like the chair is a substantial chair.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like I feel like most of the episodes just trying them watching those two teams, and then Aubrey and Ryan being like, "How do we make the TV bend where it needs to bend?"
Yeah, them being like, we'll figure out that part later, and then they never get to it till the end.
Also, I love the fact that Will's actually anxious in this episode. It's like very fascinating watching him be like, "No, I'm actually anxious because this is a tough build for everyone."
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder at what point they knew they were going to use the golden brick. That's the question I had watching it because by the time we do, well, let's get there in a second. I think the next thing, unless you have anything else to say about this portion, we have the twist that comes.
The twist is one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah, your pal.
Oh my god, I love this person so much. I got so happy. Like we find out that there's going to be a special guest judge that is going to try to guess what the item is, like when they put him back into the office. And you think it's gonna be like someone like famous, like maybe like Brad Pitt, who actually is he's a executive producer on the show. It could happen. Or someone like that, like someone like like normal fame. But what they chose is someone that's Lego Masters famous. They chose Stacy, one of the co-winners with Nick from season 3. Who is not just like an amazing Lego builder and personality and a very kind, good soul. She knows her way around Lego. Like, and I think that's really fascinating. They show someone that's like, that knows what Lego looks like,
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. To bring out somebody from previous
and we don't find out it's her until till the end of the episode.
At the midpoint, they just make the announcement that what the twist is gonna be, and that someone's gonna be judging them. I don't know who I expected. I did think it was gonna be someone more of like one of these like smart list guests that Will Arnett gets on his podcast. Just like another random Hollywood celebrity or somebody filming something down in Georgia. That week. But
being a Marvel person, Georgia.
Although I guess, now I think about it, they're probably not filming a lot of non-reality TV during this period because of the writer's strike and stuff.
Well, I think this was shot last summer because I know they're shooting season 5 right now.
Oh,
I found out
okay.
from some intel, but that's all I can say about that.
Yeah.
Also, before we get to like the last 10 minutes of the episode, before we get to all that, I think it's really funny that like we get Spunky Jamie in this episode. He steals Will's 1 hour call, and like you hear the voiceover. He's like, "I knew I had one chance to do this."
Yeah,
and it's just really fun that it's in the voiceover too, like the film noir voiceover and it's love. I love it. I love how Jamie is the serious judge, and yet he like can get so goofy sometimes.
I feel like we've crossed the threshold this season. It's been something that I've been pointing out, or like that was jumping out to me at the beginning of this season, was how Jamie and Amy really feel more willing to kind of lean into things. Even remember the bubble wrap he was wearing a couple episodes ago? Like Jamie never did any of that stuff before. And I feel like he's really having fun with it, feeling more comfortable out there. And so I love it. His facial expressions when he was acting were very fun. I just thought it was very campy and very appropriate.
I mean, we'll have another Jamie moment next episode, which I'm very excited to talk about too, because it's very weird. Because I feel like now, did Amy now become the more serious judge by proxy?
Well, Amy still cries at the end of basically every episode, so I don't know if you can call her the serious judge, but I just feel like they're just becoming more and more able to be freely themselves and comfortable out there, and I'm here for it.
And then we get to a beautiful moment, which is one of my favorite types of things in Lego Masters. I can't really figure out when it started because, like, editing is a thing, but it looks like it's the last 20 minutes of the time. And like you get cutting back and forth between Nina and Sam, like feverishly putting pieces in, and Krista and Robert trying so hard to finish their big build too. And then we see the teams that finished, because pretty much every team is finished because they're doing smaller builds, start helping Nina and Sam. And it's like one of those like really beautiful, wow, like Lego Masters brings people together. It's like that thing that like I remember being a kid like playing with my Lego with friends or in like preschool or whatever, and people just building together. And it's like that beautiful thing of like, man, Lego rules,
Yeah. And so when I asked before about when did they know they were going to play the Golden Brick, my thing is I think that at this point everybody knew that they were going to be playing the Golden Brick and therefore were immune and all that stuff. So it was like easy to help them as well because you knew that they weren't going to be, if you helped them, they weren't going to be taking your spot, so they weren't going to be going home no matter what anyways. And then, Christopher and Robert are the only team that's not helping them. And
Aubrey Ryan, because they were still dealing with their team.
Got it. Yeah. And so, and I was just going to point out that Christopher and Robert were also dealing with their last minute, ambitious chair. I do think that Christopher and Robert, even though they manipulated them to do the rug and all that stuff, they would have jumped in and helped. But yeah, with them and Aubrey and Ryan, they just were also putting last minute touches. Yeah. So it was a really, really touching moment. And like, it's funny because I feel like I'm contradicting myself. I love both the strategy part of getting them to make the rug. And then I also am moved by people choosing to help them. I feel like Lego Masters can have both. So I'd love to see more of both of those things, to be honest.
It was just like really cool. I think also like, again, it was like that weird karmic energy that happened because of Christopher Robert screwing over their, well, not screwing over, but like making people do something that was not necessarily in their best interest. By like, and like them like barely finishing their chair in time. Yeah.
And it's I was just gonna say, like, we watch shows like Survivor or Big Brother, where like helping people has a benefit because you need like their vote in the end. Like this is just much more of a pure moment because they don't gain anything. Like there's no like you don't need to like make friends in Lego Masters. You don't need to like have the social aspect of the game really come into play. But so it was just a pure moment, and I think that it was very, very touching. I was surprised at how touching it was, but I loved it.
Yeah. And then we find out that Nina and Sam are going to use their Golden Brick, and their carpet, I think, is still like 6 feet smaller than it should be.
Yeah.
And they did not because it was supposed to be 156,000 studs, and it ended up being 20,000 pieces, I believe. I mean, it looked good, but it was also a thing of like, it's nowhere near the size that they had.
Yeah, it's definitely not a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not a 1-to-1 in the pattern, but it still was a very impressive feat of bricklaying. And they honestly, it looked like a cool rug, like at the end, but it wasn't the rug that they were copying.
Yeah. So then we get our introduction who the special guest is. And I love how the show shot so much. Like they got her like in like the Vixen red dress, the long gloves, and you find out Stacy in like typical Stacy being like the nerd that she is a fashion when Will's like, all right, you have a minute to figure out what is real and what's not. And like she's like freaking panics like all over her face. Like, oh my God.
So that was one thing that really jumped out to me was how nervous she was. She was like, oh my God, okay, I'm trying to figure it out. And like I was like, Stacey, it's okay. Like you don't have to be so like stressed.
Breathe.
Yeah. No, but I mean I think that she also probably it's like almost she wants to be complimentary, I think, towards the builds and stuff. And you don't want to like, I almost feel bad for her because like she was being kind of the like bearer of bad news by pointing out the obvious, like, ones that were sticking out. And so I was like, this isn't like the most fun thing for her to come in and be
Yeah.
doing on a whim. I mean, it's fun for her to be there, I'm sure, but like she kind of has to be the bad guy.
I mean, it's not like they were gonna get like eliminated because she found her stuff.
Yeah.
Like the ones that she spotted instantly were like the TV. She thought the dartboard was one. She spotted the chair, and I think that was it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yep.
Because she was just like while this is happening, it keeps kind of like Sam being like, she's not looking down. This is insane.
Yeah. I also love how Will, takes the opportunity to make the most of it and throws everything up in slow motion
Yeah.
and make it into a little bit of a dramatic moment. So,
Like,
but yeah, I just double checked. Yeah, that was he's just so good. And so yeah, it was, I could confirm, it's just the TV, the chair, and the dartboard that she guessed. Really the chair, I loved how Christopher owned it when they presented their thing, and he was like, is there any, what do you think the odds are, of her finding it? And he said like, it will be the first thing she spotted in the room. And it wasn't even that, but she did spot it.
It sounds like she found about 30 seconds in. Like she found that TV immediately.
Yeah.
And then thought the dartboard. But yeah, it's like really fun watching like Will destroy everything. And we also don't get like a traditional adjudication in this episode, which I find very fascinating too, because we have that. But like we get to also like Stacey freaked out when she noticed the carpet too. Like she's like, wow, like
yeah. No, this also was really fun. This is like, because they were playing the golden brick, Will could lean into being like, how crazy is this rug? Because if it was going to be properly judged against the other ones, I think he would have had to be a little bit more unbiased or reserved about the rug. But it was like almost so fun that they went for something so big. They played the golden brick, so nobody stressed out. They could help them finish the rug. And then Will could just lean into like blowing her mind, that the rug was there, and she didn't even think to notice it. And so yeah, I thought that like it all just like worked together to make this really cool story this episode about this rug.
So then we get to our top two, which is completely a new top two. We get Emily and Kelly with their amazing clarinet, and like they use like pots and pans and stuff like that, and like fish and like other cool great pieces to be like the handles and such on I don't even know the proper term. I apologize if anyone's a music person. I'm not a musician, as you probably figured out. And Paul and Lolita also with their amazing telescope, like two just really good dead-on builds,
Yeah, the both of these honestly could be sold. Like that's what I was thinking. Like, like Lego's really leaning into like adult Lego sets that like sit on people's bookshelves. The clarinet, especially in my mind, is just like something that's like ready to go to market. Like it could just be, people would buy that, and I looked it up just so we're not like stumbling over our words. It is a key that those are keys on the clarinet. I didn't know. I was calling them buttons. So yeah, the keys were very impressive. The clarinet I thought was the best one, but I'm not going to quibble with the telescope being, the winner here.
I mean, like the telescope did fully rotate, and also like, I'm happy to see Paul and Lolita get the love that they deserve. I feel like they've been a very good, quiet team throughout this whole season. Like they're really fun whenever they get shown. Then they're always taking the middle of the pack. So it's nice to see them like at the top,
Totally. They are masters of what you need to do in Lego Masters to go far, which is just don't be last. They know their limits. They're not overly ambitious most of the time. And I thought with the telescope, they might have bit off more than they could chew with making it like look that cylinder round shape. But they really nailed it. They did a great job. So it was a great build. And I'm glad that they got to have a win here.
Yeah. And then bottom two, which is Allison and Mel with the camera, because it was good, but it was just small. And Aubrey and Ryan with their TV that looked like it was like 94% there.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of those episodes again where it's just a very clear like one team just couldn't pull it out, and they didn't take the judges' advice to deal with the screen when they needed to in the beginning, and saved it to the end because they didn't have a good idea of how to do it, and it didn't work out. But hey, at least they got a trip to Vegas, so they're not going home empty-handed. Yeah.
I think they were really fun characters. I thought we were gonna get more of them from the way it was feeling from the Cirque du Soleil episode upward. Until like, granted, that was just the episode before, but I don't know. I really enjoyed them, and I'm happy we had them.
Yeah, no, Aubrey and Ryan, they had some great builds. They definitely had some skills, and they grew on me a little bit over the course of the season and stuff
Yeah.
as well. So I hope they have a lot of fun building with their kids, making Lego designs together, in the future. But yeah,
Yeah.
sorry to see them go.
So next, we're on our second episode, which is going to be definitely a short one for us to talk about because it's not as exciting. It's a great episode though. It's a good traditional episode like the Masters, which is Brick Chic. I think this is one of those episodes where the storytelling of the sketch stuff is where a lot of the good stuff came from. The idea of this episode is that Will just became editor-in-chief of Brick Chic magazine, which is different from Brick Czar and Lego Politan, I think it was. But yeah, and like I love it, like how like they walk in, they sit the sets everywhere, like actual sets for summer, winter, fall, and spring. And I think that it's just a very fun traditional idea in the most basic sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. This was not like the most out of the box, but just another great, solid idea for how to do something fun that they haven't done before. So I like that they introduced the modeling aspect as well, and that there was a little bit more, like you're saying, about like beyond just the design itself. That they had to get into the spirit of the week as well.
Yeah, because it definitely has a very fun Devil Wears Prada vibe to this episode. Like Will becomes like full on Meryl Streep in that movie by the end of this episode. Not even by the end, like immediately almost.
Yeah.
And it's so like they have up to 2 teams per season, and they have to make a bag that would fit for that season and also model that bag. And I got the breakdown here. It was so summer was Lewis and Alex. Alex would be the model. Allison and Melanie also were doing summer. Melanie's the model. Spring is Nina and Sam. Nina's the model. And Emily and Kelly's the model. For fall, Kristen and Robert, both are the model. And winter is Paula and Nalita. I think this is interesting because like bags in general that people carry for those type of seasons are very different.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that some of the contestants here kind of missed the boat on like going for high fashion, which I'm not a high fashion person, so I also probably would like not have the best of ideas as to what to build here.
Yeah.
But I did really like that there's like no 2 bags were anywhere close to being the same.
All 6 were very different, yeah. And also it's like fascinating like how like people like Melanie and Kelly are like, yeah, I used to model or I am a model or whatever. And it was fun to see that side of these characters,
Oh yeah. We'll talk about some of the models coming up here when we get to the photo shoot portion.
I also love that this is like the first time we actually see Christopher kind of drop character. We get like the cute little like child photos of him, and like he looks exactly the same.
Yes.
Like exactly, the glasses are still the same too.
Yeah.
And like he's like, yeah, my mom took care of me a lot. She loves bags, and I want to make an episode that she would enjoy. I'm like, oh, we're getting the real Christopher here. I love this.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like he's really good on me, and he's giving so much of himself to the show. Like he's willing to be vulnerable and real, and he's also willing to be goofy and funny. Like I'm here for it. I hope that he makes it to the finale episode at this point.
I could see. I mean, they're not far. They can't be that far away. But I also love like how we get Will like on his power trip immediately fires Jamie. And like I want to compliment the cinematographer on this. It's just really funny to see Will all the way in the background firing Jamie, and then Jamie walks like that long walkway towards the camera, and he's like, "No, Jamie, I need you. You're really good at your job." Like,
yeah, no, they're just having so much fun. I love it. I'm here for it. I wonder, like, yeah, I really wonder their dynamic, if it's exactly like we see on camera. I suspect it is, or if they're like, like I'm sure they're all chummy and good friends and stuff. But just like I feel like the rapport between Will and Jamie and Amy is also growing week by week here in this new season.
It's great. We also get like our first time having this issue. Lewis and Alex have a really cool, interesting idea for a bag. I am from Florida, as I mentioned many times. I am from Miami. I know exactly what they're going for, but also it's a very hard thing to translate into brick.
Yeah. I like the idea they obviously struggle with the functionality of what they end up building here.
Yeah.
But it was very creative. Like it looked like a modern art piece in a bag.
Yeah. And also I think how they used Alex was purposeful to distract from it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Lewis and Alex, like they honestly like they're a little bit more muted than most of the contestants. They don't like, their emotional range that they give as characters on this season is not the most like, wide. But to see Alex go for it this way was very fun. Probably also a little strategic, like you're saying. But I do think like they're giving of themselves. They're putting their full self into this build. At least Alex is.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like Alex is in a Speedo. He's like a guy in his 30s in a Speedo.
yeah, like I said, full self.
He's not
Mark,
like
full
shape.
self.
Like he's like, he's like he's a Lego guy. He's not like best built human.
Okay, Mark, before you get in trouble, let's move on.
Yeah. I'm chubby as shit. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, if anybody's watching live on YouTube, you can tell that Mark and I are also have Lego builder bodies.
You know me with my 6-pack ab is drawn on over my stomach. So then we get to Paul and Nolita with a very interesting idea. They want to build like a mini duffel bag for their like winter, and I think this is a really smart thing. Also, like, is Nolita like the most interesting casting decision ever on the show?
Okay, so I mean, tell me why you think she's the most interesting casting member. I think that she's really fascinating. I think she's what I've said before is like she seems like she was like they were cast. I think a big part because of her personality, and she's been bringing a lot of the personality. I have been skeptical about her and their brick abilities. But personality-wise, they've been bringing a lot, and they've grown so much, as we were going to talk about these 2 weeks that we're talking about here. Yeah. So interesting. So, what else are you seeing? Why is she like?
So first off, she's as funny as most of the funny characters in the history of the show. We don't get too much of her, but like whenever it's like, man, Paul's an idiot. That's basically the energy she gives, or like, you know what I mean? Like it's a very fun brother and sister dynamic. Paul obviously is the one that knows Lego a lot better than Nolita. Yeah, but like I feel like, whenever the camera's on her, she's like perfect. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. No. Totally. I totally agree with you.
Like she decides to be the model, and like it's just like when who else like give me your looks, and like they're good model looks. Like
yeah. No, she definitely like Paul again is one of the more quieter people on the season. Like I said with Lewis and Alex, you could also throw in Robert, from Christopher and Robert, but like they're you could tell like Nolita like. He did great to basically pick his sister to come with him, because I'm assuming this is like his dream, and he's like, come, I'll figure out how to build, we'll figure out how to build together, and they're so fun. She is bringing so much as a personality to the season.
Yeah. Also, can we just talk about their idea for the zipper? I think so like I've been working on a Jurassic Park Lego set for the last few days. But I've had like a rough few weeks, and I was like, I'm gonna treat myself to a nice Jurassic Park Lego set. It's the T-Rex attack. So I built the car, I built the T-Rex, but like the T-Rex teeth are the same teeth that they use to build their zipper. So they have the zipper teeth, and they use a skeleton as the actual zipper head, I guess. But like, what a brilliant idea.
Yeah, really, really smart. And I think that like that idea was really what ended up winning them the week. I think that their bag was cool. There's a lot of cool bags, but like that kind of out of the box thinking was like, I seriously think the judges like love that so much.
Like I would not be in shock if I see like a zipper in a Lego set eventually because of like how cool that was.
Yeah, that's cool.
We got to talk about Allison and Melanie, whom I feel like they had a rough week, unfortunately. I actually think their original build idea was actually pretty cool. And I think the judges overjudged them too early and made them change their idea too much.
Yeah. Well, it was tough. I just feel like they didn't check 2 boxes that I feel like the judges were asking for. 1, I don't know if it was like the high fashion vibe that they were going for. And then 2, it wasn't functional. When the judges came up to them, they seemed surprised that the judges were asking them how they were going to be able to hold it by the strap. And so I feel like the judges, whether that was communicated or not, they were really wanting to see a bag that was going to be able to be carried like that. And so because they were going for size and how big they were trying to build, they realized like, okay, we had to scrap it and start building something much smaller that could be potentially functional, even though they were still not able to get there at the end. I think you're right, though, that they probably would have been served if they would have just kept on their trajectory, because there was another, build that didn't have a functional strap either. And if they could have just nailed the big bag that they were going for in the beginning, then I think it would have been a better route. But who knows? It's hindsight 2020. And
it's that thing of like they were dinged last week because their camera was small. It was good, but it was small. And I think their bag looked cool where they were going with it, and it ended up being cool. I mean, granted, it's in the top 6 now, so like it's that thing of like you have to be more than just cool. You have to like rock it,
Yeah. No, that's a really good point about them overcompensating probably from last week. And I think that I do like in general people trying to integrate the judges' feedback. We've seen so many people get eliminated because the judges, just like last week with Aubrey and Ryan, like they're pointing something out and then they're not able to like take the feedback and run with it. And I do think those people are more likely to get eliminated when the judges have given them something like concrete to like adjust. And so I like that they like were willing to try to be flexible, but unfortunately, the competition is just too good at this point. There's nobody else that's doing anything that's like remotely, close to going home this week. So
I mean, I feel like Lewis and Alex, they have a lot of issues too. Like they like have trouble, I think, with the weaving of their bag.
Yeah, the structure or something was off. It was hard to tell visually from just watching, but the judges definitely didn't like something about the structure of it.
All right, so we have to talk about now, I think, easily the highlight of the whole episode. The whole modeling segment is just the most fun thing ever. I love how Will is drinking water. Is this super fancy water on it?
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is like the thing that like brings like Lego Masters like that really good, fun family vibe they love. They love like pouring the snow and all that stuff. And like just like Alex in his Speedo, just on the sand, like everything. It's just, it's that fun thing of like, okay, this is a serious show, but is it?
Yeah. No, and I think like when the competition is that tough too, like I feel like people really like want to like bring a little bit of that X factor to their, presentation of their build. And so whether it's Alex, disrobing or, really Nolita serving, like, Kelly really getting into it. Like even Nina, I was so fun to see Nina just really like everyone was just going full send with how they were approaching the photo shoot here. And it's like so fun, so sincere. It's Lego Masters at its best right here.
Yeah. I mean, like season 4, I was a little concerned with at the top, honestly, but they're now cooking with gasoline, like they're building with brick and cooking with gasoline.
Yeah. Okay. So who was in the bottom 2, Mark, this week?
Well, should we talk about the actual,
let's actually get to the builds. We haven't even discussed them.
Yeah. So first is Christopher and Robert with their Maple Leaf bag. They modeled it together, and like it looks like a really good, like high fashion Coach style bag. And I think like the photo shoot is really adorable. Like it's very like romantic, but not, and like very like it's like this is our baby. Like that's what it felt like. I mean, like we both love this bag. It's our
That's really funny, Mark. It did feel like now in hindsight a baby photo shoot. The fact that they had 2 models like that, and that's exactly. I've seen so many baby photo shoots.
One like that.
Yeah. And so I get it. That's really funny. The other thing too, that there's 2 more things about this build that we can't not discuss, which is one, Christopher's story, like you already alluded to, but like he really leans in here, and like Will, I can see how much Will loves Christopher. Like he's just like, this guy is giving. He's giving it to us, and so he like really like rewards him, by him being emotional and vulnerable about sharing about how much he loves like his mom and appreciates what she's done for him. And part of that is like, inspiring him and giving him an idea on how to build a bag here. So I love it. Great TV. And then the other thing too, which is also great TV, was the reveal of like how it unclasped. Like that was a real wow moment when revealing their build.
I mean, they built a bag. They built a bag like that, and it's really impressive. And I also love like Will's joke after all of that, being like, "I hope your mom was watching too, because we need the viewers." I'm like, I love that. It was just great.
Yeah.
Then we get to Alice and Melanie with their beach bag, and I think the bag actually still maintained a very cool thing. It's a cool idea, and I think like the wheels was interesting. Like they had wheels on it. And I think Melanie did a really great job of selling this. I mean, like, of course she's gonna like she's clear like she like talks about brand ambassadorship and stuff like that in the top
Yeah.
episode. And like it's like she's a tiny little adorable human being, and like the bag looks cute. Like
Yeah.
the photos are great. I think the bag's well designed. I understand why they don't do so well in this episode, but yeah.
If this is week one, this is not even being discussed as a bad like bag. Like the fact that this is the worst one is a sign that the competition has now been whittled down to people that are very good at building Lego.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and like the modeling is great. Like it's all good.
Yeah.
I really think they got their head from the Brickmasters, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna fault Amy and Jamie for that because like their job is to tell people when they're doing good.
Yeah.
Then we get to Lewis and Alex out their beach bag, and it's more fashion than function, as they said.
Yeah.
And like Alex had to shine bright, and I think he does. I think the bag looks cool. It's not a great bag, but it's a cool bag, and like the photos are fun.
Yeah. Yeah, they ended up having to lay it on the ground for the photos because it wasn't being able to be held or picked up really, and then wasn't really able to hold stuff inside of it. So the bag part wasn't quite what you want.
Yeah. Oh no.
And yeah, I loved that they went for it, even if they the bag wasn't exactly the best bag this week.
Yeah. Then we get to next will be Emily and Kelly Spring 2024. Is what they call it, and it looks really cool. And Kelly like high key slayed this shoot. Like
yeah,
it's amazing. Like it looks like a thing they would see like I hate to like a JC Penney catalog kind of.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Like fun mom.
Yeah.
And like it's hard to like hide the hinges the way that I think Jamie and Amy kind of dinged them on. But like I think this is like I was like looking at the texture of the bag. I'm like, this is like a very smart build.
Very cool design. I thought that, yeah, I think just what's so interesting about these bags is like how people did the different textures, because none of them were the same, and how they approached that, especially when people are trying to go with a more like organic, leathery type of vibe. And they really nailed that here for sure. Again, like they could have easily been the winner. I feel like if there were, one or two other bags here that were, if they were in the top two this week, I wouldn't have been surprised. I thought it was like worthy of that if the competition had been a little bit less.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the third place bag, 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we get to Nina and Sam, and like honestly, like this is just a very adorable photo, and like the bag's not the most fashionable bag, but it's cool. It's a good messenger bag. I like the actual like design, how they use the cylinder bricks too. Also, for me, this felt like kind of like a okay build. Like I've seen something great from them before. And I'm just like, okay.
I thought that the design, like the structure of it, how they engineered the bag was brilliant. I thought that like it was really cool how they wrapped around the flexible Legos. It's so hard to make Lego that bends in general, and so if you're going to do that, you have to be very creative. So I liked how they made those straps like that. But then I do think that like the strap itself wasn't the coolest thing, comparatively. And then I feel like they've really nailed the colors usually, but this one looked a little kind of like tacky,
yeah.
or I don't know. That sounds too harsh. Like they're incredible builders, but like it didn't feel like the high fashion vibes that other people were giving.
Yeah, 100%. I fully agree with that. Then we get to Paul and Melita with their winter duffel bag, the skeleton zipper, and like it's a really cool bag because it's like able to be used for like dogs or animals and like other things. And I think they fucking slayed this. Like I think like this is an amazing photo. Melita does a great job with the snow everywhere, and she's happy. And it just they sold the bag very, very well with the photo, and the bag looked amazing.
Yeah, I do think the marketing was maybe better than the bag. If it was just bag to bag, like I think that Christopher and Robert probably should have won, but I do think that Melita, like I think she genuinely like won them the X factor, like the little push they needed to win the week because of her modeling, and then even the storytelling with the dogs and stuff. I just thought like all those little touches like really helped, and so I was like, yeah, Paul and Melita, very functional duo here. maybe could make a run at the end game. I'm just a little concerned. I don't think that like the brick building is there. They had the brilliant idea with the zipper, like we've already, discussed, but like the bag itself, I was like, okay, like this is good, but I don't know if it was that great. But then the teeth, the zipper, and then the modeling just kind of put it over the edge, I think.
Well, they didn't win though.
They didn't. Oh, I was wrong.
Yeah, they came in second.
Okay, got it. Okay.
But yeah, I was like, wait, what? And I was like, so I was looking at my notes. I'm like, huh? And I just like went straight to a computer. I'm like, wait, what?
Okay, no, thank you for clarifying.
It's a different thing that happens to the West Coast version of the show than the East Coast version.
No. The Lego Masters universe is all one timeline. And I just was wrong in my memory here. I'm looking at my notes. I just got it wrong.
It's totally fine. I just was like, wait, what? Whatever. But yeah, you have top two. It's Christopher and Robin, and Paul and Lolita. And I think this is a very smart top two. I think it's a great top two. And Christopher and Robert get their first win of the season. And I'm happy for them. I think they made a really great build.
They were just robbed of getting the golden brick that they worked so hard to earn last week by getting it put in circulation. I was a little bit bummed that it didn't come back this episode where they won. Oh, really? Interesting.
Okay, so like it happened quickly, like the gold brick happened early, and then like both Poppy and Ben leaving, I think it makes sense to me that, yeah.
Interesting.
Like, we're at final 5 now, so like why would there be a golden brick at this point?
I thought you could use it up until the finale episode, but I don't remember the Lego Masters, rules exactly.
I mean, if it comes back next week, great, but I don't think it is.
I just thought it would have really completed the arc of last episode where they worked. They really pulled off this move, and then they could get rewarded by winning the next week and getting the golden brick. They're never going to need it. I think they're going to be safely in the finale episode. They really have not failed, yet at all or come close yet.
Yeah. Then we get to our bottom two, which is Allison and Melanie, and Lewis and Alex. And yeah, I mean, Allison and Melanie, they were great television. They were really fun. They were a great version of this archetype that we get pretty often on the show. And I'm happy they did really well. Like 6 places is pretty good.
No, like I said, just this was not a bad build. Like even what they were able to do by scrapping, halfway through and restarting. Like this would just be one of those early builds in the beginning of the season where they just yada over the judging and kind of fast forward through some of these like, not going to be the worst, not going to be the best builds. It's just the competition is too tough at this point, and they just unfortunately messed up and couldn't recover from trying to restart at the middle. So I'll miss them. They were also fun. You could tell Will liked them as well as far as the personality and what they were able to give to the show.
Amy cried.
This seemed like an easy couple. If I was going to bet on who Amy's going to cry saying goodbye to, it was going to be them. But that's okay. So that's it, Mark. What do you think about next episode?
I'm excited. It's one of the more interesting ones. The idea of them like having to crash a boat and a car into each other, and then like use those pieces to build like a supercar boat, I guess.
Yeah,
and then racing. I love the racing episodes. And hearing Emily, I think. Christopher.
Yeah, I already know we're getting another all-time Christopher moment. So. I'm very excited to watch this next episode. And as always, Mark, excited to talk about it with you afterward as well.
I have a question. We haven't talked about this in a while. And quickly, who do you think are in the top 3 teams?
Christopher, Robert, Nina, and Sam those are locked in. Do you have a third that would be locked in with them?
I think it's Paul and Lolita is
in that top interesting. 2. Okay, got it. Yeah. I think I might put Emily and Kelly in there in the final 3.
Okay.
Mostly based off editing. I feel like we kind of like introducing. I feel like I know them the most of the other remaining builders.
I mean, I think Lewis and Alex, of course, have a huge chance too. I mean, like they've always been up there. I'm excited. I'm loving where the season's going, and I think next season will be a really great one.
Yeah.
Josh, how can people follow you?
Follow me at Josh Kettles on Twitter. That's where I am most active, talking about reality TV shows like this. And also at featurepastsurvivor.com, where I am talking about Survivor every episode, just like we talk about Lego Masters here. Mark, what about you? Where can we find what you're up to these days? I know you got a lot cooking right now.
At MarkLevy85 for the Twitter and Instagram and the Letterboxd. Also, I just started doing TikTok. with as movie mark, just doing movie reviews that way. I literally posted one so far. I'll be posting probably 2 more before the end of the night because I'm seeing a movie tonight after this, and I have another one cooking in the brain. Just just trying to do fun things that way. Also, if you're interested in like a dumb game, my fiance and I just created Where's Paul Giamatti, which is an Instagram account where we hide Paul Giamatti in our apartment and try to find it. But also like we've been like posting it around and just dumb stuff. Also, you can catch me on every Thursday morning here on some podcasts, interviewing the latest team eliminated from the Amazing Race. Always have fun with that and some Amazing Race rules. And yeah, Josh, this is always so much fun.
Always, Mark, always. So thank you for being here, Mark. Thank you, everybody, for listening, for watching live on YouTube. Yeah. And I'm excited to continue to get my brick on with a few more episodes left in the season.
And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.